I always pick the guy who don't have the most money because I like to control the situation.
Everybody, every goddamn body.
To reality.
Peace, blessings, and black love. This is your man Amandla Awethu coming to you black at it again. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and or subscribe. In this particular episode or reaction, it's again another female indicating the type of men she chooses. The reason why I do a lot of the gender war stuff over white supremacy or politics is because even though I believe that those are our external issues, we have some internal issues that are equally as detriment. So I'm trying to get the males, the men, and the young women to realize as long as women in general are not moving as a unit, doesn't matter the nationality, but if they're not moving as a unit to their nationality, then they are actually a more detriment to their nationality, ethnic group, or race as compared to most external forces. So there are certain things that happen internally and there are certain things that happen externally. And we can always point the finger at what goes on outside of us. It's very hard for us, or very rare for us, to point the finger at what we do internally, what goes on behind the walls. So I'm not always, but I'm trying to do a cadre of so many things to try to get you guys to see the pathology, to understand the psychology, the methodology of why Black America is still facing so many prehistoric issues, so many old school ways. By this time in 2023, we really should not be going through this particular gender war or political plight. However, black women are moving against black men. And I've been trying to explain to you guys why we have not advanced in 80 years. We haven't advanced in 80 years because black women have long ago said that the white man isn't after me because I'm black, he's after the black man. The black woman has long ago said that. But because of Jim Crow and other things, racism, what that particular older system did is it went after all of us and it confined all of us. Well, since the 1960s, it has not confined all of us. It's only confined the heterosexual black male. So if you say that you're a homosexual black male, you can get a pass. If you say that you are lesbian female, black female, you can get a pass. If you say that you are a feminist black female, you can get a pass. If you say that you are heterosexual black female, black male identified, but you pretty much prefer the black nuclear family, your life becomes difficult. So the ones that they're after is they're definitely after the ones that are hetero. They're also after the ones that are normal. Anything that's not considered normal gets a pass. Anything that comes under the banner of an audible, if you're in the football world, or option, you get a pass. And what the women have decided to do is be an option. Well, we want you, but we don't need you. So they need to emphasize that to the public so that when the dominant society hears it, it can say, I don't know, let's just see how that works. But if they say, I'm for that, I'm all in favor of that, that's a clear understanding, a clear indication that they're not going to be a part of the agenda. So women, black women in general, have decided to move against black men specifically so that they can continue to live on this earth separate of the black man and reap all the benefits. Shelter, food, clothing, trips, girls trips, money, economics, advancement, political advancement, economic advancement, blah, 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 blah. So they move against you. And the reason why I need to emphasize these things and show these countless videos, even though you keep saying to yourselves, I ain't worried about that, I ain't worried about that, I ain't worried about that. You're going to have to begin to worry about it in some era, some decade. It may be 100 years from now. I may be ahead of the class. I don't know how you males are going to figure it out when the women are moving against you politically now. If you guys don't do the paperwork now, you're never coming out of this. Because it not will only turn into a quantity thing, paperwork thing, it will become the culture. Once it becomes the culture where the women say, well, we don't need that long term, and they can sustain it long term, you're going to render yourself obsolete. And my goal is to fix things. I'm a nation builder. Ever since I've been on this platform, I've been trying to get you guys to understand the reason why we throw each other away, first of all, is because of fear, pain, hurt. Those are the first reasons why we throw each other away, because we're hurt. Not that we can't get past it, but we're hurt. Second reasons why we throw each other away is because of the echo chamber. Either men have an echo chamber as well. Women aren't the only ones that have an echo chamber. But I'm also trying to teach the next generation that stay out of the echo chamber. If you want to rob a bank and they go like, yeah, I'm all in favor of it. Anytime y'all want to do something wrong, everybody says yes. Anytime it's time to do something right, everybody goes, I don't know, it depends. Well, that's the echo chamber. You're quick to do something wrong, no questions asked, versus something right. So even if younger person you hears this part of the video, the echo chamber is usually the worst place to go. Yo, man, she did something and I feel some kind of way about it, and I don't think that's right. I think I want to retaliate. I think I want to get her back. You can go to your mans, you can go to your boy, you can go to your cousin, you can go to a trusted advisor. If they don't tell you no, that's a clear sign that person ain't moving in your best interest. That person isn't with you. If they sit up there and you say all you want to do, and they sit up there and help you, well, did you think about this? Well, nah, man, if you're going to do that, you got to do it like this. If they do that, if they come out of their mouths in any word, verb, vocabulary that says, well, if you with it, I'm with it. If they come out of there with any of that, any form of agreement, that lets you know that person is not a real friend. That person don't really love you. That person doesn't really want to make sure you're doing good in life. That person wants to hurt you some kind of way. Because a real friend would always say no. A real dude that's on his square, even if he doesn't have the money, if he's solid, he would say no. He would say, I know you hurt, just leave her. You ain't got to retaliate. You ain't got to revenge. You don't got to do none of that. He would really just say, it's plain and simple. If that's how you feel about it, then leave. He wouldn't say stay there and get it back. You follow what I'm saying? I'm saying the word he, but that applies to any gender. Anybody that's in that echo chamber, if you come out of your mouth and you want to do something wrong, you want to get them back, you want revenge, you want to rob a bank, you want to scheme, you want to get online and try to, take money from people, and that group, that person, your confidant, your advisor, you go to them and they say, I'm with it, how about you? What you gonna do? That's the echo chamber. That means stay away from them. I'm telling you, you need to get with the people that tell you the road is to go with the road less traveled. You go with the road less traveled so you can accomplish more. It's only less traveled because it's more difficult. It's only less traveled because of the people that are on that road don't have the patience. It's only less traveled because of the people that are not on that road are more emotional. It's only less traveled because of the people that are not on the road are more or less operating under the psyche of instant gratification. It's only less traveled because of impatience. It is not less traveled because it is harder. It is not less traveled because it is difficult. It is the same road. It's the same obstacles. The difference is it's an internal thing that you, the individual, must overcome. Whereas the other road, you're going through the same things. Same speeding ticket, same traffic ticket, same over the road highway violation laws. It's the same. The only difference is it allows you to get away with a lot more, versus the other road is a little bit more narrow. It doesn't allow you to get away, and you have to overcome your internal demons. You have to overcome your daddy issues. You have to overcome your mama issues. Whereas the other world, it doesn't require all that. In this video, in this action or reaction, I wanted you guys to hear what a female says in 2023 and what a female says in 1970. So if you do the math between 2023 and 1970, that's a 53-year time gap. So 53 years has passed, and even though they use different words to say the same thing, I keep explaining to you all, homophones, antonyms, homographs, doublespeak, they use different words, but they're saying the same thing. This is why the results are the same. As long as the women are in charge, then our community and our nation is doomed. Because the women are only going to do what is in their own individual best interest. The women will not do what is for the greater good. I said it in the previous video. I'm saying it again I'm saying it so you guys can understand. You do not hear statements from the female collective that says woman of her word. You hear that statement from men, man of your word, men of honor. You do not hear those same sentiments as far as women. As far as women is concerned, it's my prerogative. I can do what I want to do. Roll the tape.
The breadwinner in my relationships, and I realize now that I'm older and I looked at my dating patterns that I always pick the guy who don't have the most money because I like to control the situation.
I've said that
I like to be able to
times.
leave when I want to leave. I like to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I am attracted to alpha males, but alpha males, they're attracted to me initially physically, but once they figure out we're both like this, they're like, oh, no, we can't do this.
Would you consider yourself an alpha woman?
Absolutely. Like, I've always been the breadwinner in my relationships, and I realize now that I'm older and I looked at my dating patterns that I always pick the guy who don't have the most money because I like to control the situation.
I've said that
I like to be able to
times.
leave when I want to leave. I like to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I am attracted to alpha males, but alpha males, they're attracted to me initially physically, but once they figure out we're both like this, they're like, oh, no, we can't do this.
Would you consider yourself an alpha woman?
Absolutely. Like, I've always been the breadwinner in my relationships, and I realize now that I'm older and I looked at my dating patterns that I always pick the guy who don't have the most money because I like to control the situation.
I've said that
I like to be able to
times.
leave when I want to leave. I like to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I am attracted to alpha males, but alpha males, they're attracted to me initially physically, but once they figure out we're both like this, they're like, oh, no, we can't do this.
Would you consider yourself an alpha woman?
Absolutely.
Okay, how are you going to reprogram men so that they don't let us take over what's supposed to be their responsibility? And men that I have had dealings with, they are perfectly willing to sit back and let us do anything we want to.
Yes, I played this before in one of my previous videos. So you are hearing it. I'm not doing a remake of the video. You are hearing it. One is in 1970. The other one is in 2023. And the reason why the pattern is consistent, and the reason why I'm going to keep showing you the pattern, is because too many of you are purposefully being I don't know the word, but you're deliberately trying not to see what's in front of you. So if you're deliberately trying not to see what's in front of you, that also indicates to me, man, the one that wants to be seen as a male, that you are a weaker male. And when that woman says the men that she finds are perfectly fine with her taking the lead, letting her do whatever she wants to do, you are that man. So another example, another way of expressing that or explaining that is like, your mama was a hoe. She was the side chick. Yes, she was abused. Yes, she was beat up on. She was all those things. But what you didn't realize is your mama was the individual that like that type of behavior. Say, what? Your mama is these two women right here, plus these thoughts that we see out here in 2023. So whenever we speak ill about these individual females or trying to correct their behavior, you hear us talking about your mother. Even though we're not talking about your mother because we don't know your mother, we're talking about the behavior. Since your mother demonstrated or showcased some of these behavioral patterns, you are emotionally connected. So even though I may be talking about Susie, you are in reference that I'm talking about your mother, Joanne. I'm not talking about Joanne, your mother. I'm talking about Susie. But your mother and Susie are one and the same. Same behavior pattern, different name. So when I keep emphasizing these women, the reason why your politics is not working, I'm going to go vote Democrat. I'm going to go vote Republican. I'm going to go vote non-party. The reason why none of your strategies are working. Well, I'm going to get X amount of money and I'm going to go passport, bro. The reason why none of your strategies are working is because you don't want to acknowledge the threat that's in front of your face. You've all heard the saying, they will cut off their nose to spite their face. Which means they are actually pretty. The eyes are pretty, the cheekbone is pretty, their lips are pretty, their jawline is pretty. They're actually pretty. But because they have such a gargantuan or disformative or unattractive nose and leaving it alone, they will cut it off. Even though the face is pretty. Cut off their nose in spite of their face. You don't want to see the enemy that's right next to you. And she gets away with it because as long as you make up these magical excuses, men, she can hide up under the radar. You can't go down there and vote politically when the female is constantly moving against you. You can't. It's impossible. Hey, dear. Today's election day. What are you going to vote? Republican? Well, why? Whatever comes out of her mouth. How does that look long term in a relationship? If you vote Democrat, she votes Republican, how long does that work? How does that look long term when these are opposing policies? And if you're not a male that's strong, that's confident, that's dominant, that wants to do the right thing, she's going to say something stupid. And you're going to agree to it because it makes sense. But it only makes sense because you're not around other men challenging her talking points. If you were around other men challenging her talking points, you would be able to stick with the math. 1 + 1 = 2. So when she comes out of her mouth with that whatever, trying to curve my words, it'll make sense because you don't want to put what's in between her legs at jeopardy. Okay, dear, you're right. If you're a Republican, she should vote Republican. If you're Democratic, she should vote Democrat. This is the reason why I keep showing you a lot of the gender war, videos. Yes, I can do white supremacy. Yes, I can do politics. But none of that matters until she gets on board. As long as she doesn't get on board, you cannot skate around her. Yes, I can do white supremacy. Yes, I can do politics. But none of that matters until she gets on board. As long as she doesn't get on board, you cannot skate around her. Yes, I can do white supremacy. Yes, I can do politics. But none of that matters until she gets on board. As long as she doesn't get on board, you cannot skate around her, because they put her in position to be an interference. She's running interference. She's not running interference because they're twisting her arm. That's what you have to stop looking at. Well, it's only because the white supremacy is only... They're not brainwashing your women. Human nature is, I want to be in control. I want to be in charge. I want power. That's human nature. And whatever does not have the power and isn't able to acquire the power on their own always goes and acts something that does have the power to move on its behalf. Human nature is, I want to be in control. I want to be in charge. I want power. That's human nature. And whatever does not have the power and isn't able to acquire the power on their own always goes and acts something that does have the power to move on its behalf. Human nature is, I want to be in control. I want to be in charge. I want power. That's human nature. And whatever does not have the power and isn't able to acquire the power on their own always goes and acts something that does have the power to move on its behalf. You break your leg, you go to the doctor so that they can help mend it and put it back where it needs to be, and then your body will do the rest. But you have to go somewhere in order for it to heal correctly. Your child gets shot, they're near death. You ask a higher power God or higher power deity, please make my baby live. Please don't take my baby away. Because you don't have the power to do it on your own. So you always ask what you perceive to have the power to move on your behalf. And since women do not have the power to beat men, since women do not have the power to force man to do something, women. Black women are like any other creature. They are asking our enemy for a smidget of power so that she can control us. And they don't need to control us, but they want the power. And with the power, they can do whatever they want. If you remove white race, Hispanic race, Italian race, you still would have to deal with other black men. She will go to what she perceives as being stronger black men and then ask those black men to do something to move on her behalf. Because it's human nature. Everybody's jockeying for position and everybody's jockeying for power. So even though you can say it's white supremacy, they are an instrument. They are a tool. But really, the problem is the female. If she was willing to do her part, it wouldn't matter where she go to get her power from as long as she's doing her part. Well, what is her part then? To protect her nation. Her first inclination of her nation technically is her children, her offspring. What comes out of her womb? If she is not willing to protect that, then she's not doing her part. Well, how do you protect what comes out of your womb? You first align yourself with that can do the best job. If a beta can do the best job, you get with a beta. If an alpha can do the best job, you get with an alpha. But you're supposed to protect what comes out of your womb, or don't have what you don't prefer to come out of your womb, which means long or short way. If black men can't protect you and protect your offspring, stop having their children. Don't nobody want to hear that. I'm telling you, you're supposed to protect what's coming out of your womb. If you're not willing to protect your nation, which is what comes out of your womb, stop having it. have what belongs to those others. The problem with that is those others don't want as many of the women reproducing them. So it becomes a numbers thing, it becomes a quality thing, a quantity thing. We will let some of you carry our seed. We won't let all of you carry our seed. So we won't let all of you carry our seed. We now have a conundrum. What are the women who cannot carry their seed? What are they going to do? Remember, women don't manipulate the environment, men do. So if women don't manipulate the environment, men do, how is she going to maintain or sustain her environment? She's either going to have to pair off with the female, pair off with the male, or have offsprings, and those offsprings will eventually later, 20 years later, take care of her. And if you have the offsprings, but they're not of the offsprings of the more dominant male, then that means you automatically put yourself on that altar or sacrificial podium to do what you were supposed to do from day one, which is protect that nation that comes out of your womb. Women aren't doing that. And they're not doing that because they don't have to. They don't have to because men give them a pass. Your politics is not going to fix this situation. Your politics is going to keep running in circles because your natural running mate is running interference. Your politics is not going to fix this situation. Your politics is going to keep running in circles because your natural running mate is running interference. Your politics is not going to fix this situation. Your politics is going to keep running in circles because your natural running mate is running interference. Because your natural running mate is running interference. Because your natural running mate is running interference.
And men that I have had dealings with, they are perfectly willing to sit back and let us do anything we want to. Oh, you have to reprogram the man so that he will forcefully take what belongs to him, because you know women, as long as we can get, we're gonna get, and it's part of our being. We're going to do anything to you that you let us, whether we want to or not.
The breadwinner in my relationships, and I realize now that I'm older and I looked at my dating patterns that I always pick the guy who don't have the most money because I like to control the situation.
I don't measure a man by how much money he can bring home. I measure a man by how he treats me. Whether when I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm scared, he's there. I don't measure a man by how much money he can bring home. I measure a man by how he treats me. Whether when I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm scared, he's there. I don't measure a man by how much money he can bring home. I measure a man by how he treats me. Whether when I'm tired and I'm sick and I'm scared, he's there.
The breadwinner in my relationships, and I realize now that I'm older and I looked at my dating patterns that I always pick the guy who don't have the most money because I like to control the situation.
A female that does that and says that is a true statement. They don't. They do not measure a man based on how much money he has. They judge him, they value whether or not he's there. The problem is, how does that look 20 years down the road? How does that look for the man or the male when he actually starts to grow into his manhood and then he wants to challenge her position or authority, or he doesn't like the way she's been trying to son him? How does that look 20 years down the road when she says, I'm burnt out and I'm tired. I don't want to be independent no more. I don't want to be in charge no more. I want a man that blase, blase, blah. How does that look 20 years down the road? These are insecure women who have control issues. And they are using our enemy's tools, whether it be another male, they are using our enemy's tools to control and dominate us. That's what they're doing. Women go to school. They go to get their education. They do not go to get their education to build nations. They do not go to school and get their monies to revitalize the black community, Black Wall Street. Black women get the college education and the money For one, to tell the black man where to kiss it and when he can kiss it. Number two, they get the college and the education to be able to come and go as they see fit. If they don't like something, they can leave. They tell you, well, what about when the man leaves us? They're telling you all those fear tactics. But in essence, it's when they want to leave. Don't tell me what to do. You ain't my daddy. They don't want that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you hear a lot of these conversations, the women are just running their mouths. This is why they don't have any results. They're beautiful women. They're put together amazingly. When you look at them, they're beautiful. When they open their mouths, the first thing you want to do is run. The first thing you want to do is run, because all you feel, all you hear is wickedness coming out of their mouths. How does it look long term when a woman says, I don't judge a man based on how much money he makes? How does that look long term? How does that look long term when a woman says, I choose the weaker males because I can control them? How does that look long term? Your divorce rates will skyrocket. And the reason why we are stuck with this dumb behind gender war is because the woman is out of order. Instead of her holding her cookies, instead of her being patient, instead of her saying, I'm gonna choose this Pookie right here because he does those magical things to me waist down. But as I level up, as I go throughout life, instead of me becoming a woman, transitioning from a girl to a woman and leaving him, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make this $100,000 a year, but I'm gonna keep him. The women are throwing the men away. Instead of throwing the men away, the women should keep the men. If the women operated like that, then it wouldn't be much to talk about. Go ahead and be a breadwinner. Go ahead and be in charge. But you're not operating like that. You're actually perpetuating a cycle of destruction. See, because you move for your own selfish reasons. Take a look at this Ebony K. Williams debacle. She came online and she talking about she doesn't want to date the bus driver. She rather date the person who owns the bus company or the bus itself. And it's not a preference. They're using shaming tactics and reverse psychology. It's not a preference. The women don't want what you have to offer. And the reason why they don't want it is because now they can make their own money. The Brat, lesbian female. Old school rapper from the 90s. She's a lesbian female in a relationship with a black female, and they went to a sperm bank and they got artificially inseminated by a white male sperm donor. The Brat is a lesbian female. Old school rapper from the 90s. She's a lesbian female in a relationship with a black female, and they went to a sperm bank and they got artificially inseminated by a white male sperm donor. I said in the beginning, if you're not going to do the thing that you're supposed to do to protect what comes out of your womb, stop having black babies. Your women are off cold. And as long as they're off cold, the black nation is doomed. But I didn't really want this to be this long. Let me say this final thing as I leave out. You do not need that black female to continue the black race. You guys must understand the black race, in essence, is the black man. The black man already has a nation of blackness already in his scrotum. I don't know the sperm count, and it's irrelevant to say, well, how many sperm? He already has a black nation in his scrotum. Once he ejaculates in any body, any female, any able-bodied female that's able to reproduce, a black nation is beginning to spring forth. Even though time and science says it'll take about 10 generations for it to go back to being pure, if he has sex with a white woman, science says it'll take about, and the Bible says it'll take about 10 generations. It'll take about 10 generations for it to come back to being pure. Let me not use the word pure, because that's the funny logic, that's the funny terminology that people like to use. As long as you have the phenotype and the skin complexion and the hair texture, you're black. Nobody checks your DNA. They check your surface. They check you on eyesight, character traits. So even though we may not be able to do anything with the current black female, the daughters of Eve, we don't need the daughters of Eve in order to spring forth a new black nation. All you need is time. The problem with time is you don't have it. It's not yours. So you're constantly trying to go to your female, the current female, saying, please do right. But the female has power. And until she gets character, until she gets dignity, until she gets grace, she's not going to operate in character. You don't ever hear the term women of honor. There is no such term as woman of honor, because the women have been given a pass. They do what they want to do. You've heard the term men of honor, because at the end of the day, most men will fall back on their word, man of their word. I said I wasn't going to do it, so I'm not going to do it. Women don't operate like that. I said I wasn't going to leave you, so even though I'm unhappy in the relationship, I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to stay. Women don't operate like that. Women say, I'm unhappy.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks, don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Women can get away with it because weaker men allow it. I'll take it, baby. And they come and get it. If you want to fix this, if you want your politics to work for you, you are going to have to become political against your women. If you want your politics to work for you, you're going to have to start to sue black women. You're going to have to start to set marital rates. You're going to have to enforce mandatory DNA at pregnancy testing at birth. You're going to have to start doing it. If you don't, she's going to move against you. She's going to continue to move against you for the next 100 years. And there will be nothing you could do about it because you didn't do the paperwork. Warrior class, zoo, rise up. Warrior class, zoo, speak up. Warrior class, zoo, show up. Warrior class, zoo, smoke them out. Peace, blessings, and black love. I'm out.
Death was better than bondage.
In this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Fair Use Act disclaimer. This site is for educational purposes only. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research.